Hi everybody, welcome into the Troughton Chronicles. As you can see, it's me again this evening as the host. Emma's got quite a lot going on at the moment. She will be back soon. So you have to live with my dulcet tones as the host this evening. I'm happy to be joined by Mr. Paul Davenport in the top right corner, the old chap, and at the bottom, the man, the myth, the legend. That is Tyler Allenson. How are we doing, everybody?
Yeah, doing good, mate. Doing good.
Are you sponsored to say that every show then, Callum?
I am, yeah.
That's not a nickname.
If there isn't
Contractually obliged.
if there isn't anti-aging cream available that wants to sponsor the Chronicles, me personally for saying that just looks plenty.
just not something for me piles. Anyway, leave it. Let's leave it at that. Oh dear. We've started. We started low. Well, just getting lower.
To be honest with you, with the way the season is tracking, thankfully, I think a lot of podcasts are going to start to turn into sort of taking the mick and Nathan Jones doing weird footballing experiments. As the relegation zone seems to be disappearing into the sunset. If we talk about being on the beach, I would say now the boat is very much pulling on to the island. It's just a question of whether we can take the hand that Sheffield Wednesday will offer us to get out of said boat, for us to spend our time drinking pina coladas and being very, very happy. We're at 47 now, 51, 52. We'll do it when it really is. You're looking at getting a couple of points from those that are left, including what should be winnable from us everybody else, which is a trip to Oxford. It's not necessarily winnable for us historically. But Paul, I think I was the only one of the three of us that was in Middlesbrough, as my cousin sent to me. I wouldn't wish Middlesbrough on a Wednesday night to anybody, but I had a great night, including a fantastic chicken parma, I must say. If anybody's in Middlesbrough, that was absolutely fantastic. But moving on from chicken and cheese, let's talk about the wonderful defensive display that we showed on Wednesday night. How are you feeling sort of RE relegation? Are you agreeing with Emery's put the banner down there and the Reds are staying up at this point? Or are you one of those saying, don't count your chickens before they've hatched?
No, I think that was we've had a few statement wins, haven't we, this season already? But, I think I felt really quite, I was obviously surprised. I was one of those naysayers who said, what the hell is this formation? We're giving up and looking forward to Oxford. And so, to get those 3 points and in the way we did, with that incredibly resolute, resilient defensive display, well, and that was a bonus. I mean, that's really a Brucey bonus, wasn't it? So, as far as I'm concerned, we can't get 4 or 5 points from the remaining 8 or 9 games, then we don't deserve to stay up. But I mean, I think we're in an incredibly strong position now. So, as I said to you, I've not quite got the humidor open, but the keys are in my pocket, and I'm getting ready to get the cigars out. But yeah, there's a little bit of time to go yet. But I think we are on a great track. I feel certainly as relieved as I have in the last probably month to 6 weeks, maybe even 2 months actually. So yeah, really, really great result by the lads. To a man, they fought, manfully, and took about 3 points, and it was great for you mental 500 to be able to rejoice on that night. It was a fantastic result. Great, good vibes.
Tyler, one of the weird things, I'll ask you about your general thing in relegation as well. If somebody had told you coming into this season that you would be, at this point, with 9 games to go, you're above QPR, your away wins are Portman Road, Bramall Lane, the Riverside. Where else have we won this year? I don't even
King Power, Leicester.
King Power. And there is another away win in there. I think we won 5 times, and I can't remember which one it is. You've got a point at Hull. We shouldn't have lost at Wrexham, for goodness sakes. All of a sudden, you would have looked at that and gone, great, how high am I finishing? Unfortunately, at 17th at the moment. But for some reason, going away to really good or really big sides seems to really, really suit us. So how are you feeling about sort of the relegation battle? Do you think we're still in it? Or you're hiding in the hull of the boat as the rest of us get out onto the beach? Or
Yeah, I mean,
are you clambering on to the sun deck?
I saw that stat on Twitter after the game of the teams that we've beaten away, the big sides we've beaten away, and it's just coming into the season, you'd have never would have thought we'd have done that, turned up against those sides and put in the performances that we did. I don't think we haven't conceded a goal against those teams either. You know, Borough, Ipswich, Leicester, Sheffield United. We've gone to those teams and kept clean sheets, which is ridiculous. But yeah, I think coming out of that game, I'm not definitively saying that we're out of it just yet, because nothing is a given in this league. You know, it's 9 points. Anything can still change. There's still 27 points up for grabs. But I am kind of beginning to look up more than I am down, because I don't think we've ever really been in danger of getting relegated all season, really. And I think the teams below us, they just can't seem to pick up points. I mean, Oxford are starting to pick up results again, which is why Saturday's so crucial. But everyone else around us is still too inconsistent at the minute, whereas we're starting to find our second gear, so to speak. And yeah, we're pulling ourselves away from it even more. We could be further away, you know, with the other results. You know, we lost to Portsmouth and lost to Wrexham, and we could easily have got a point from that. So we've dropped points here and there, so we could even be further away. But to be 9 clear now, we're definitely looking up than we are, more up than we are looking down. But yeah, I'm not going to say definitively that we're home and dry just yet, because like I said, there's still 9 games to play, 27 points up for grabs. It's still very early doors. If we lose to Oxford, it puts us in a bit more danger a little bit. We just got to keep the momentum going. But yeah, if we're putting in performances like that, I mean, yeah, I think we should be looking pretty good. But yeah, we've never really been in danger of relegation all season, to be honest. And yeah, 17th is something I'm very happy with at the minute. I'm very proud of what this team has achieved. And yeah, I think we're almost there. Let's put it that way. We're a couple of points away, and yeah, we're almost there.
If someone wants something slightly balmy before I come and say hello to people in the comments, if we win on Saturday, we can go as high as 13th, which is absolutely wild. If somebody had told you after we drew after the game at Millwall that you could be 13th with 8 games to go, as long as you win at Oxford, I think we'd all be wondering sort of what the vertigo would feel like to be that high. But we genuinely are, and everybody should get very excited. If you're not part of the Reddit Championship group, please do. It's one of the greatest meme factories you'll ever find. But we are crew contenders for the 12th place trophy, which is basically the Championship second bottom half of the table award, and a very important trophy that Bristol City and Preston North End fight with each other over most seasons. I'm going to go say hello. I've got Suko. He's asking where Kieran is. Lots of questions about Kieran. I wish I could give you a satisfactory answer. I think the answer is he's a late age teenager who is probably out having a good time. So I think that's all I know about Kieran. Is I think he's having a nice Friday night. So that's all I know about where he is. Emma has got quite a lot going on at the moment, and she's hoping to be back soon. So that will happen. Hello to Justin, who was the first in this evening. You're saying hello, team, and who's up for a late playoff push? God. We're 10 points off that. I think that may be a step too far at this point.
Not get too ahead of ourselves.
Hello to Julie Scowcroft. I hope you're doing well. Hello to Ronald Paul. Draw Oxford, and I think we're good. Hello to Ealing Military. We'll come to the goalkeeper. We'll do the goalkeeper at the end. I was having a really interesting conversation actually with Paul. We were texting earlier, so we'll come to that later. But we will have a chat, and I actually thought Mannion played well on Tuesday. Gaz H6545 saying Charlton stand up. Asuka saying he's my brother. God. God. I don't know what's kind of fair play. Stuart Wallace, hi guys, how many points are we from the plus? I think it's 10. I think it's to at 10. And then Gaz saying transfer talk next week. Well, hopefully we beat Oxford and we beat Norwich, and all of a sudden we can start talking about the summer, because there won't be anything else to talk about. It'll be about 7 glorified friendlies, which I would be so happy to be part of. But let's be honest, it's Charlton. It won't be that way. No, I don't. Sukol said no, like he actually is my brother. In that case, why are you asking me where he is? So you should know. Anyway, in that particular instance. Right. Shall we start talking about players? We will come to Mannion. There's a very specific conversation I want to have. I'll give you credit for that first half save as well, because it's a good stop onto the bar. But we'll come back to him, I promise. Let's start with you, both of your reactions before we go player by player to the reaction to that starting 11 coming out. Because I won't lie, I think I may have texted you it, Paul. It felt slightly like a slap in the face to idiots like me that had travelled up that many hundreds of miles on a Wednesday night to see Macaulay Gillespie, Connor Coady, and Keenan Goff in the back five away at Middlesbrough. The one thing I did think was the fact that he played the 2 actual wing backs meant that he wasn't quite rotating as much as probably it looked like on the outset. But what did you guys both think when you saw that lineup from the nice, comfortable warmth of South East London?
Well, I unmuted myself because the radiator's hissing. And that was very much my reaction when I saw the lineup that you showed me, because I was like, I understand Oxford is probably the fixture that Nathan's got his eyes on. But come on, I mean, obviously there's people I know that have gone up there 500 miles, whatever it is. Sorry, 500 people going 200 or 300 miles up to the windswept northeast. On a Wednesday night, who deserve better, really. So yeah, certainly at first sight, I was like, I mean, come on. I mean, we love Macca, obviously. I love Macca. We all love Macca on this podcast for what he's done. As we said, he's gone into Charlton folklore forever after the playoff final. But some of his performances have been a little bit iffy, to be polite. So seeing Macca in there, seeing Keenan. I mean, Keenan Goff's obviously shown some good signs when he's played before, but it was a massive game to put Keenan in, and to take not only Kane out, Lloydie, but also Amari. And you're like, oh, that's any defence, any team would miss those three. So yeah, obviously immediately, we were like, okay, fine. Go and enjoy your Parmo, because you ain't going to enjoy the football. But actually, yeah. So I mean, we're obviously going to talk about the game, but yeah, as you said, first sight, first blush, that lineup, I was like, yeah, okay, fine. He's kind of not given up. But he's saving the troops. He's saving his quality players for Oxford. So yeah, to start with, before it kicked off, I was a little bit disappointed, to say the least.
Tyler, I had an extra pint, shall we say, when that lineup came out. That was my expectation. What did you think of it at first look?
Yeah, I don't blame you for that extra point, to be fair. I saw that lineup and I thought, right, Jones is seeing this as a free hit then, because I mean, Middlesbrough, realistically, they're not our competition. I think Saturday and the Saturday after that, those games are more important. We're more focused on the relegation fight. And I understand the argument, like those that went up there and you're seeing that team and you're going, right, okay, we've travelled all this way and we're setting up effectively to get a walloping, because you look at that back three, Gillespie, Coady and Goff, that's asking to get run through. It's not a quick attack. Off the base of it, Goff here has played well, but he's raw. Coady hasn't really got the legs anymore, and neither has Gillespie. And Gillespie's performances, as Paul has said, has been quite hit and miss this season. But I looked at that at first and I thought, right, he's seeing that as a free hit. But then I actually backed the decision, and I actually liked the fact that Jones did it, considering, first of all, it's not as second string as we probably initially thought. It was the same keeper, same wing back, same midfield. You're probably not arguing with the front two either. It was mainly the back three that was the big concern. And the reality is he kind of had to do it as well. Bell can't play 3 games in a week, otherwise he's going to break down. Jones would have been suspended had he got a yellow card, and had he started that game, I probably would have bet my house on him getting a yellow card in that game. And then Ramsey, again, you've got to protect, because if he gets injured, then suddenly, with Sechenje out, with Burke out, suddenly fitness is a problem. So I can understand the frustration to begin with when you see that back three, but I felt, to be honest, it was the right decision. We need to rest these players. There are more important games coming up, but I can understand it, but I actually quite back the fact that Jones made that decision, and as we later come to know, it turned out to be an absolute tactical masterclass. But yeah, I can understand that extra point for sure, because if I'd have gone up there and seen Gillespie, Coady, and Goff at that back three, probably would have been thinking about turning back round and going home.
The really interesting sort of when you look at it is he also said that Ramsey had a tight hamstring, so I think he was probably looking at it going, okay, that's not. We're going to start with Conor Coady, because never in my life have I been more wrong about a footballer. And I'm willing to put my hands up and fully admit that. I know I've said before that I got it wrong. I think Conor Coady has earned us something like 9 points since coming in January, 10 points, whatever it is. It is slightly wild. He still can't run. Who cares? When you're playing a team like Middlesbrough, when you say actually maybe it was the right choice, Tyler, Middlesbrough don't turn you inside, don't turn you round. Right? Everything's in front of you, because if I had Hayden Hackney, I keep everything in front of you as well, because I realise I can break you down doing it that way. Well, all of a sudden, it doesn't matter if Gillespie and Coady can turn around, because there's nobody in behind them. And Tommy Conway decided to do his best, I don't know, Dusan Tejic impression by just not showing up to the game on Wednesday night. He was absolutely dreadful. But you realise you can actually just sit that three. Sit it in a bank and say you can't get through. You put Coventry in there, basically drop him, create a back six, and then you man mark Hackney with Doherty, who came off the pitch looking absolutely shattered because he'd been run around ragged. But Paul, Conor Coady, he basically coached Gillespie through that game. All of a sudden, when he got someone next to him, giving him all the instructions, not saying that is Lloyd Jones's job, because it's not Lloyd Jones's job. He's got someone next to him telling him exactly where to be and where and what to do. All of a sudden, he looks functional because he does have most of the physical attributes you need. Keenan Goff's a young kid and he's being taught through it. And I loved Coady in the post-match talking about, actually, he helped me out too. I thought that was such a veteran thing to say. But and the goal, even he couldn't believe he'd scored it. It took everyone in the away end, I kid you not, about 2 or 3 seconds to kind of figure it out. Actually, we've scored. And it was a toe poke of all toe pokes. Of a goal.
Of his extra long studs, as he said.
It was not Kelvin against Birmingham. It was not Kelvin against Birmingham with a nice touch. It was stick my toe on it.
It was. The bottom corner. Wrap my leg around it, around the defender, and you go. I think going back to
what a signing that has been.
Yeah, no, if you were wrong, I was wronger. If that's a word. Because I was like, because obviously I was influenced by my Leicester and Wrexham mates. Particularly my Leicester mate, Richard, he was saying, look, he's past it. He's a podcaster now. He's no longer a defender. He's picking up his money. Most Leicester fans can't wait to get rid. And as you said, he's become a revelation, not just in that sort of defensive midfield position, going back to his roots, but also, yesterday. I mean, I did mention Coady being back three. Obviously, Tyler did quite rightly. But I mean, it was excellent. I mean, he was, he has been that veteran head. As you said, he's been that general, that coach. You can hear him when they're in front of smaller crowds. Away, you can actually hear him barking out his orders. And for Mac, it was almost like sort of defending by numbers. Painting by numbers. Go there, go this space, go that space. Go there, go here. Make that little run. Stay back, whatever. Commit, don't commit. So absolutely. And exactly the right. I mean, as you say, it's not Lloyd's job to do that. But Coady takes it upon himself to do that. It's just what he does. He is just really. I mean, he's as we know, he's got so much experience. Premier League experience, international experience, and it's just, he does make it kind of look easy, really. And I think he was the best person to be beside Macca, actually. And I felt that Macca, generally speaking, did acquit himself sort of really well. And it was good. It was really good to see, actually, because Macca's been, as we said, been little here and there, shall we say? Sometimes looked a bit sort of hair and scare him, and he didn't really look like that at all. I mean, that was a really difficult game, against a team that's currently still second in the table, who had walloped Birmingham, who'd walloped QPR, away. It made it look easy, and scored some delicious goals into the bargain. But so on the face of it, that was going to be a real struggle. But I felt that with the help of Conor Coady, both Keenan Blue and Macca did incredibly well. I think Keenan, as you said, Tyler, was pretty raw, and I think he kind of over pursued initially, and of course was getting out of shape, and was quickly got back into shape, courtesy of Conor Coady. And I think he did incredibly well for the time he was on the pitch, actually. But a lot of it was down to the sort of the on-field management and coaching of Conor Coady. And I mean, that's a great stat you bring up about helping us get 9 points. And he's been an absolute revelation. I was really concerned about that because given his age, he was nearly 33 when he joined us, and you could say his best days are behind him. He couldn't get in the Wrexham team. I think he played a couple of games, and he didn't play particularly well. His time at Leicester, particularly latterly, was sort of marred by kind of off-field stuff, mutterings about. His concentration was more on the sort of the off-field stuff, the radio and the media, than the actual matches. But no, it's been a real clean slate for him, and he obviously enjoys playing for Nathan Jones, and it seems to be a marriage sort of made it happen. And just to mention, down before you go on, it's just we've been asking whether Coady would stay around. And for the first time, when he was asked, I think by might have been Louis or Rich, said, and he didn't discount it. I mean, normally people will say if they don't want to do it, or if it's not going to happen for family reasons or whatever, they'll make some sort of comment. which you can read between the lines and say, oh well, yeah, that's not going to happen. But for the first time, I heard him say, actually, I think probably because he's enjoying it and because he really respects Nathan Jones, it wouldn't be out of the question. And if it wasn't out of the question, then I'd really welcome it. I'd love to see him back next year, and because he's been invaluable, as we said, both on and off the pitch, because he's just such a commanding presence. He has literally been there and done it. There's no BS. He's got the caps. He's got the Premier League, hundreds of Premier League appearances. And there's no one in the squad that can say that. There's no one that's anywhere near that. So he's obviously going to have some, people can look at him and he's got that kudos, and he brings that, and he brings calmness as well. I think he's really chirpy too, but as you've seen, he's not afraid to bollock people. But people know it's for the right reasons. So yeah, all in all, it's been great. It's been a great acquisition. I'd love to think that he could help us win a few more points, get us safe, and then maybe, who knows, over the summer they can do a bit of a deal, because I think he's excellent. And as he transitions, obviously, from playing to coaching, we look at someone like Danny Hilton, and what Nathan's done with him, and Danny's taken plaudits now. Sorry, I know I'm going on. Can't maybe understand what I'm saying, where I'm coming from. But Danny's actually obviously getting some plaudits now for some of the set piece stuff, the throw-ins and all that stuff. He's starting to develop his own coaching career, and that's the sort of thing. And this would be the ideal opportunity, the ideal environment, I think, for Connor Coady to do the same, actually. So that may also be in his mind as well. So, but anyway, no, all in all, just a really great acquisition. And you felt that you were wrong about him. Well, if that was the case, I was well wrong about him, basically, because he's been excellent, really excellent.
I'm eating some delicious humble pie, and I tell you, it tastes fantastic. But I do have to say, the reason you talk about leadership is exactly the same reason why I look at it. And obviously, Luton, they don't release their contract lengths. But I look at Jordan Clark at Luton right now, and I go, that's another type of player next summer. You go, thank you very much. Let Luke Berry go to League One. That's the sort of player that you look at and you go, yeah, same idea, sort of leader, loud, brash, in many ways, but also incredibly silky, and a player that we could actually use the archetype for. People absolutely hate it because they'll go, oh, going back to Luton. But it's actually someone that just understands the system, right? It's someone that can bring that to players around him who kind of need it. I think a Rankin Costello and a Coventry probably could use someone to kind of do the same sort of job as well around them. So even a Carey sort of a bit further forward. So I think there are opportunities to improve that. Talking to players that I would very much like to keep, Tyler. I'm not going to be humble pie about Luke Chambers, because I was absolutely right about get a functional left wing back, which I banged on about for 4 months, and I turned out to be absolutely correct. That everything all of a sudden falls into place because you're someone that's actually left-footed, can actually cross the ball and can tackle with their left foot. But on the other side, Harry Clark, the throw was great. It looked like Sonny Carey. It was very funky. He's got a 4 on the back of the shirt, so you thought it was him again. It wasn't. It was Clark. And that ball for Kelman that Kelman should be tucking away, that is absolutely filthy. Very much last year of his contract at Ipswich, because I'll trigger that extension, try and get some cash. That, considering we like to do deals with Ipswich, for whatever reason, that's very much a player that I think you get to the summer months. You look at both those. I go, if Liverpool do another year for Chambers and get Clark for a reasonable price, I'd be quite happy to do that. What about yourself? I thought both were excellent yesterday.
Yeah, 100%. You're looking at both in the summer for me. 100%. Bring them back in. Chambers. It's funny how this system suddenly becomes really good when you actually have a natural left wing back in that left wing back. It's
shocker, isn't it? It's a shocker.
Sounds simple, doesn't it?
Who knew a 5-back needed a wing back to give you width? Goodness gracious.
I know, but yeah, they've both been outstanding. Chambers put in a shift yesterday, but Clark was the more noticeable one for me on that right side. He's just been excellent. Getting forward on the defensive, he's just good at everything. The ball to Kelman was unreal. The work he'd done before him was brilliant, but the ball to Kelman is fantastic. It's a great save from Solbrin, but Kelman should be scoring as well. But it's one of them, isn't it? It's a great save, but he should be scoring. But yeah, on Clark, I was confused as well because I thought it was Carey who had the throw as well. At first, I was like, oh mate, if Carey's a long throw again, and I realised, oh, it's Harry. Oh right, okay.
They both do it in warm-ups as well, just to be extra annoying.
Yeah. You can tell they've been practicing that on the training ground. But yeah, full credit to Clark, man, because I had my doubts coming into it. I had my doubts because of his injury record and the lack of minutes he's had. But then I thought, he's had his experience at this sort of level. He knows what he's doing, and he can put in a shift when he gets the minutes. And I don't remember a bad game he's had, to be honest. I think he's had a couple of mishaps. I mean, the miss at Wrexham is one prime example, but that's not necessarily his job. But yeah, I think Clark's been a revelation for me. And like you say, I mean, I can imagine Ipswich. Well, will they trigger a 1-year extension? I don't know, because they don't necessarily need him. They might just be open to letting him go, to be fair. But whatever happens, I think that's an option we've definitely got to look at in the summer, and Chambers as well, because I think both of them have been excellent. And again, another great shift on Wednesday. But yeah, it's the same with the rest of the team, to be fair. Like everyone played for the badge. Absolute warriors, yes, on Wednesday.
What would get funky for Clark, I think, is if there's a promotion bonus in those contracts, because if there is, then it could get very, very funky. They may let him go at that point. So it won't be worth the extra couple of million they can get to pay him. Chambers enters the last year as well, so that was another one that may be a possibility. Is he good enough to play for Liverpool? Don't know about that. So that may be one again that you can get something for. I'm going to come back to you, Tyler, and I'll come up to you, Paul, because Paul will ask you about the captain. Connor Coventry, Tyler, since he's come back from whatever that injury was, this looks like Connor Coventry again. I thought he was absolutely fantastic in front of Connor Coady last night, and you could see him and Coady chatting to each other, and at the end they gave each other a nice big hug. And I thought, who knew? There's the goalkeeper union, but it turns out there's the number 6 union as well. And I just thought that he was absolutely everywhere. You're dealing with one of the most difficult midfields in the Championship to deal with, because they are constantly moving. And no one plays 6, no one plays 8, no one plays 10 for them. They all play everywhere. And I just thought that he was an absolute shield in front of that back line. He must have had 3 or 4 blocks himself.
Yeah, he was outstanding, absolutely brilliant, and back to his best, as you said. Like, this is the Connor Coventry that I remember, and the Connor Coventry that I know that can do this at this level. You know, we all say it. You know, he's capable of playing this level, and he can do it. But yeah, I mean, it's good for him, to be fair, to get this run in the team, because, you know, since Coady came in, he's kind of phased him out, and you could sense that Coventry's been a bit frustrated by that. But Coady was put in the performances where he necessarily wasn't. I don't know whether that was down to fitness or whatever, but he wasn't as noticeable as we
hip issue, I think he said.
Yeah, that was it. But yeah, since he's come back from this, I mean, he's back to his old self. I mean, and to be honest, I think yesterday's probably up there with his best performance of the season by a mile. I think he was just everywhere. You know, as you said, the way that Middlesbrough midfield works, it just, I think they bombarded us most of the time in the midfield areas with how they were able to play the balls. We were quite open in the midfield, especially in the first half, I felt. But the fact that Coventry was able to, put his body in front of the line, him and Doherty as well, who I'm sure you're probably going to come to, but both of them, I think, were very similar, and both of them were excellent. But yeah, Coventry, I think it's good to see that, he's back to his old self again. And the fact that, as you say, the number 6 union, he's kind of got a decent rapport with Coady, so to speak, because you could sense he was frustrated with the fact that Coady was ahead of him. But yeah, I think Coventry's definitely made that place his own now again, and rightly so, to be fair, because he's just been, a revelation. Well, not a revelation, we know how good he can be, but he's back to his old self, and he's been outstanding. And hopefully he keeps that up, because, I think we all know what his talent is and the ceiling that he can reach. So yeah, well done to him.
Thing about Coventry too, it sounded he sounded genuinely pained at the idea of West Ham getting relegated, which I thought was quite interesting, considering he would be playing against them next year if they did. But he was just like, no, I'm a West Ham fan. Absolutely not. It was like a very sort of like personal connection, which he obviously has, having been there since he was a little kid. Paul, Greg Doherty, I say it all the time, that's a game that suits him, breaking up passing lanes. He did a man marking job on Hackney, which was very interesting, I thought. Came off, looked as if he'd been hit by a 2-ton truck. It turns out that when you're dealing with a player that will be in the Premier League, whether Middlesbrough are or not, that it's actually really, really difficult to run around and get in the way and just be annoying. But I thought that's a game that suits him. Games against teams like Wrexham, when you have the ball a lot, probably aren't. Again, I thought he was excellent against Birmingham as well, same sort of thing. But I thought Doc was very good last night.
He really was, I was almost like psychosomatically getting cramped on his behalf. I mean, it was immense, basically. I mean, I know on previous pods I've kind of obliquely compared him to Didier Deschamps, who obviously was captain Juventus and France and whatever, so won World Cups and so on. But I mean, I meant it obviously because, as you may recall, I think it's probably before you were both born, but I'll just mention that anyway, as I am an old man. But Eric Cantona, compared him to a water carrier, basically, didn't he? I think, or worse to that effect. And it's a bit like, what he was basically saying was he's unglamorous, and I'm the one that's got all the skill. but the unglamorous water carriers do a job, and that's kind of Doc all over here. He's as you say, when he's required to do a job, man marking, Hackney or whatever, just shutting space down, shutting people down, keeping things tight, being a general sort of making a nuisance of himself. That's what Doc does well. As you say, if you give him the ball and ask him to be expansive, well, that's clearly not his game. But if you play him in, again, we go back to that square pegs in square holes again. If you put him in a role to which he's not only accustomed but can actually excel, it may not be glamorous. It may not call for much in the way of skill. It calls for diligence and persistence and putting your foot in when it's required. That's hardly sort of the elite sort of Frank Worthington type play for those of a certain age. It's not flair, but it's essential, and it's an essential role that he played. And I think he actually ran after. He ran after Hackney. He did an excellent sort of man-to-man job on him, and I just thought it was fantastic. And well might he be absolutely shattered, because he covered the proverbial every blade of grass and what have you. And he was just really brilliant. He was really commanding, and I was really pleased for him. But as you say, that was a game for him. That was a particular scenario where he was going to excel, and it hasn't always happened this season. But then again, you need to put him in environments where he's going to succeed, and Wednesday night was just such a scenario. I mean, he did everything he was asked to do. He did it well, and then some. So great performance.
Tyler, let's talk about we talk about being unflashy. If you want to be flashy, Nathan Jones is not the manager for you. Unless you're Carlton Morris and Adebayo, and then okay, fair enough. You can be quite flashy. But pretty much, if you're, he will carry like one player, and everybody else is going to work harder than an ant colony. I don't know why that was the first thing that came to my mind. I apologize, everybody. This hosting thing's harder than it looks. But Sonny Carey, I actually thought in that game defensively, I know he didn't have that much on the ball. We don't need to talk about the Tyrese Campbell cameo. It was terrible. He'll admit it was terrible. I think everybody will admit it was terrible. But he played a nice ball to him when Tyrese Campbell did finally get off the last man, which he hasn't been doing lately. But I thought if we just forget the attacking stuff for a second, I thought defensively he put a real shift in. And I thought that was really impressive for a player that's got 9 goals to actually go, I'm going to be humble enough to run around with the other guy who Doherty wasn't man marking. And I thought he was really, really good at that. And then he sort of drove the ball and we did get it back to try and sort of stop it coming right back at us. What do you think of Sonny last night, or Wednesday night?
Yeah, I agree. Defensively, he played really well. It's quite surprising, but then again, he kind of needed to in a game like that. We needed that whole midfield three to, put their bodies on the line and put in that shift, knowing how, as you say, how quick that Middlesbrough midfield moves, how quick they are on the wing and wide areas, like to get balls in the box. And Conway's obviously a threat as well up front. He wasn't on Wednesday, but we know what he can do. But yeah, it was very impressive for a 10 to put in sort of that shift, and shows that, that whole midfield unit, it can play to that strengths. And like you said there, when we do get hold of the ball and it falls to him, he drove the ball out so many times into that and put us in positions. His decision making again wasn't great. I remember there was one opportunity where he could I think it was either Kelman or Clark. He could have put them through in the first half, and he just lost the ball and ran straight into the defender, which is what he typically knows how to do, because all he knows is to run in the direction in front of the goalkeeper, and he cannot move anywhere else. If a defender's in front of him, he's just going to run straight into him unless he plays the ball out. But yeah, that's perhaps the only criticism I had. He'd done that once or twice, but yeah, I think all in all, defensively is probably the main area you need to look at that performance, and it was very impressive for a number 10. So yeah, fair play to him. I think that was definitely a solid shift from him and all of the midfield three, to be fair, in that aspect. But yeah, when we got hold of that ball, driving the ball out, it shows. I mean, that's what Sonny can do. It was a shame that a couple of them didn't come off. I mean, the TC one in the second half was frustrating, but yeah, all praise to Carey for that one, to be fair.
Yeah, I mean, I say it all the time. If you want to fix that, and I'm going to keep banging on this podcast until hopefully we do it in the summer, but get a Jordan Clark in, someone that knows how to play that role, who can basically just spend his time with Harvey Nibbs and Sonny Carey and go, this is how you do it. They both have the physical attributes to do it. I'm sure of that. But they need that last little bit, and I think you need a guy who's 33 and whatever is able to, because they're different, Carey and Nibbs to Berry. Clark's more the player that you want them to ultimately become, especially if you are going to use Nib sometimes in the 8. You want a player that can almost sort of teach them how to make the right decision, if that sort of makes sense. And then not by being sort of like, not by being pedantic or sort of, critical, but just by sort of showing them. And I think seeing that every single day, a guy that's always going to play the ball, I think that would be very, very helpful. And I think it would cost us next to nothing. Although I guess Luton fans will be on here telling me I'm wrong. And they want £8 million. Paul, actually, I thought, considering there was no service whatsoever, fair play to Miles Leaburn up front on Wednesday night. I thought actually there are real signs that he is starting. It's a bit like a plane turning a corner. It takes a little while, but if we see him as sort of a development sort of prospect, I think he is developing into a player that at the very least when Lyndon Dykes came on, he didn't become sort of, oh my God, he's 3 steps higher. It actually looked as if Miles was sort of matching, maybe a little bit behind because Dykes is Dykes, but sort of he's getting to that level, and that's ultimately what we need him to become, hopefully moving into next season to sort of push on.
Yeah, I'm seeing a bit of a swagger with Miles, really sort of I'm whereas there was an element of a bit of imposter syndrome, I guess, to some extent. He's now saying, I can follow the lead, I can follow Dykes' lead, I should be here, I'm going to use my 6'7", whatever it is, frame to good effect, and not be cowed and intimidated by some of these rugged Championship defenders. And again, sort of running with the ball and close control. We know that's always been there. It's about you talked about Sonny making the right decision. It's similar to Miles, and he's learning all the time. When to go, when to stay, when to knock the little balls off. When to get his elbows out and get involved. So just absolutely. I mean, that, as you said, that wasn't really they had nearly 80% possession, I think, didn't they? 78% possession, Borough. So, he was never going to get any service, as you said. So he had to do stuff in other ways, defensive headers. There were a number of defensive headers that he made, really crucial and firm, which is all good. It was all hands to the pump. But I still felt that actually, particularly in defensive situations, he used his head in more ways than one. Properly, really thought about things, and he is sort of growing with every game. But I do think it does help to have someone like Lyndon Dykes beside him, and it's always good to see that. I think Birmingham fans are sort of ruining the day that they let him go, because he's actually, again, that's another player like Coady who's been invaluable, not just for the play, but he's sort of nous, both on and off the field. I think is pretty evident, and that's really helping and transmitting to Miles. And I just think that, again, this is all good education for Miles when it comes to next season. Hopefully, we'll get a real sort of full season of really productive Miles. But it's good to see Miles feels he deserves to be there, which hasn't always been the case, and that's all good.
Can I just chuck a little thing in there as well, which is I think after West Brom, which, by the way, that cross was absolutely filthy from that corner. We need to start just sticking Miles or Lyndon. Lyndon maybe a little bit less because he's good on the front post. I don't understand why we don't stick Miles on the back post more often. He just takes up a lot of room. It's a bit like putting. I say this as a fat person myself, putting the fat guy in goal. I was actually a goalkeeper as well, so that's a bit. I'm double attacking myself. But you put the person who takes up the most room in between the pipes, right? And I do wonder sometimes, as the Canadians would say, and I do think sometimes that I don't understand why we have this lad who's 6'6", whatever he is, not standing on the back post to make it. And especially, we'll come to the goalkeepers later. But if your goalkeeper's not going to come and claim as much, having someone there to just kind of be in the way, I think would be quite helpful. I think was it Barnsley last year not one off the line? So I think I think that's something we should be doing more. Tyler Kelman again didn't have that. Again, defensively was okay. Ran around, pressed around, did a shift. I'm not going to attack him too much. He has to be scoring that. Unfortunately, he's going to get the one chance. He'll be ruining it. We heard after the Birmingham game. I think he's been pretty hard on himself. He'll know that. I'm not going to drill into him for it. We won the game anyway.
Yep.
But I thought actually outside of that, I thought it was a pretty decent performance considering he wasn't going to get any of the ball. It's a real quick one.
Yeah, that's all you can really say about it, really. The service wasn't there, but that wasn't our game plan. It wasn't. He was kind of there to press the defence and hit him on the counter attack. If so be, the chance he had, he should be scoring. And like you said, he'll be ruining that. He has been harsh on himself. He had a great finish against Birmingham, but that one just didn't work out. But that's football for you, isn't it? But yeah, I think everything besides the attacking third, he played really well. He pressed the defence. He got stuck in a couple of times defensively, was pretty decent, and put in a pretty solid shift. So yeah, I don't think. I mean, you can't really criticise any of the players for that performance, because I think the game plan that Jones set out, everyone executed it brilliantly, and we got the win. So that's all you can really say. But yeah, for Charlie, I mean, frustrating to the sense that he didn't take that chance and the service wasn't exactly there. But I still think a decent performance nonetheless, and hopefully he keeps that up, because yeah, I think he needs a good run now.
We're going to do a really quick.
He looked really bright, actually, Callum. Sorry to interrupt. Charlie looked really bright. I think some of the interplay was really good. I mean, as you say, he didn't take the chance. I thought Bryn did really well. He sprinted out and spread himself. So I think the actual angle was made it much more difficult. But I just felt Charlie he just looked brighter, as he said himself. He's not, as you both said, he's not been himself, but he certainly looks himself now. And some of the stuff yesterday was very good. The fact that he was sort of running about and he looked enthusiastic and he looked keen, which he hasn't always necessarily done. So again, weight of feet or whatever, injuries. But again, that's really good to see. He was unlucky, and as I say, he scored that great goal against Blues. So hopefully he's got a few games left to sort of put his name on the score sheet again. But yeah, again, I thought he looked really bright. He looked like he was enjoying it, which was good.
We've got to do a really quick speed round, because I do want to chat goalkeepers, and it'll be a slightly long conversation. We'll do a quick Oxford preview. So we'll just do a really quick 2 or 3 sentences. I'm going to take TC because I'm not someone that criticises him, so I can be the one that does it. I don't criticise him very often. That was dreadful on the ball. He'll know that. He wouldn't play very well. I think if you asked him, he'd admit that. He did, however, to be fair to him, put a couple of defensive shifts in there. Blocked Sarmiento a couple of times, so I'll give him credit for doing that and dropping back. And it wasn't like he wasn't running. We really badly need to stop this pumping the ball up to him. He's not going to go win the ball in the air, and it's just making people think he's lazy when he's just knows he's not going to win it. Stop it. Put him on the last man, and use the pace, for goodness sakes, Nathan. Right, that's my only criticism I'm doing for the afternoon. Tyler, I'm going to ask you about someone who continues to amaze me every single time I watch him play football, which is Amari Bell. Came on 65 minutes, whatever it was. It's really hard to come as a centre back as a sub like that. Slotted in, and would you know it looked like Amari Bell from the first moment he was there. When he plays, we're actually a challenging playoff team, which is slightly wild. But yeah, he's Amari being Amari, wasn't it? Really.
Exactly. That's Amari Bell for you. That's his experience. Coming on in a situation like that is not easy. But yeah, to come on and put in a shift like that, I mean, that's what he does. That is just what he does. To look so assured, and it goes for the other centre backs to come on as well. Ramsey, Jones, and I don't know if he was going to give them to Paul, but yeah, same thing.
I was going to come back and say actually all 3 of them. Now that I think about it,
but there you go. But yeah, all of them were class when they came on. Superb. Ramsey was outstanding for me. Absolutely brilliant when he come on. Won absolutely everything that come his way. And yeah, that's the type of performance you expect from. We've come to expect from Ramsey. I'll put it that way. But yeah, back to Bell. I mean, yeah, that's just what he does. Just superb experience. And yeah, just shows how invaluable he's been to this team since coming in. Yeah, I just wish we'd have had him fully fit for the whole season. He definitely would have been rivaling Jones for Player of the Year, to be honest. But yeah, Bell's been outstanding.
Paul, we're going to finish this really, really quickly on your favourite player, Lyndon Dykes. I'm pretty sure your 99 shirt is being bought as we speak. Came on, did his job, didn't he? I mean, it's actually quite nice to have a full-on bruiser to bring on if you 1-0 up in a game, because he was just incredibly annoying. And I mean that entirely as a compliment.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, as I say, it's someone that, you can't sleep on someone like Lyndon Dykes. He's not just annoying, but, as we've known, he's assisted a number of goals already since he's been here. So if you take him lightly, then he's going to absolutely, if he isn't going to kill you, then he's going to make sure that he helps out, helps administer the coup de grace. So yeah, absolutely. He's just got all the smarts that he's gained in 10, 12 years in football, basically, and let's not forget international level too. So, yeah, and he's got a good touch as well. I don't want to give it the old good touch for a big man cliche, but I'll say it. I just said it. So, but he's very good, and he knows where to run. He just knows he's got some innate sense of positioning, and it's just again, people when they come up against them, they know they're going to be in a battle. So. It's just so again, he's just been invaluable. But as I said before, just both on and off the pitch, he's just been a real sort of godsend. So, again, another really good performance, and it's just continues to sort of grow in the affection of Charlton fans.
I'm going to read a couple of comments because one of them leads us on to my next conversation. So we've got Trisan will be a fascinating summer buying and selling. We can push on next season with recruitment. I think we can as well, and I think there is going to be money available. I've had to apologise for me and Midland. I've had to apologise twice about Nathan. We were bad. I lost confidence, but it wasn't the only one. He deserves plaudits for the game management. Yeah, I mean, the people that lost faith. I mean, my thing was always, I always looked at us more like his Luton size than anything else. I always thought we never touched the relegation zone. I thought people saying get him out. I thought that was nonsense. We never don't think we're any closer than 4 points from it. To be honest with you, so we always had a game sort of spare. I think to take this side and keep them comfortably safe is a heck of a management job. Got Alan Shepherd down here saying 1-0 Wrexham, Swansea creeping down. LOL. I bet you're watching. Are you watching the Rob McElhaney and oh God, why
commentary?
Ryan Reynolds commentary, Alan. I'm
Cannot believe that's
where are you?
I mean, that's unbelievable. That is. I mean, that's don't get me started on that.
And then Richard has moved me on because there's one man we haven't talked about, and I promise you that's not because we're going to criticise, but I just think there's an interesting conversation to have about the goalkeepers. Richard is saying Manny has to stay in goal for the rest of the season. IMHO. Let me just lay this out in about a minute, and then you guys can let me know what you think because I'm interested to hear other people's opinions on it. For me, you can't drop him for Saturday if a goalkeeper's kept 2 clean sheets in a row. I think that would be incredibly harsh.
Yep.
Right? And I don't think he will. I think more than likely what will happen is Brooks will travel up with the squad and he'll just say, look, we were just letting him rest his hamstring. I think what Nathan Jones will wait for is a mistake to be made or is to have another game like Wrexham where probably something should have been saved, is what he'll do because that's what good management is. If anyone believes a manager when they says we have no number one, that is nonsense. That there is a goalkeeper that wears number one, firstly. But secondly, whenever he's made mistakes, Nathan Jones hasn't changed it. He's made it very clear who's number one actually is. Finally, he's on 20 grand a week. Unfortunately, we are owned by people that may have a lot of money, but people don't like having their money wasted. Billionaires like spending other people's money. That's how they became billionaires in the first place. And I would, if I were them, if I looked down at my bench and were about why is my highest paid employee not being used, I would have a problem with that. Add on to that, the decision for me is as simple as, is Thomas Kaminski your goalkeeper next season? I think Nathan Jones has indicated he is his number one next season. I think that's been pretty obvious all the way through. If that is the case, what you cannot do is annoy your ownership by not paying your highest paid player. If you say, I'm going to play him next year anyway, they'll go, why is he not playing now? And secondly, you can't annoy the player, right? So we're in a thing where it's, if he's genuinely thinking about it, again, Tyler, you and I have had the conversation about the contract, about getting rid of it. I don't think you can unless it's to Turkey. And to be honest with what's going on in the world right now, how many players are going to want to move to Turkey as it is? But the real thing is that if you can't, if you're stuck on your backup keeper will not be earning 20 grand a year, 20 grand a week next year, whatever happens. So the question for me becomes, it's easy, I think, for fans and those of us to sit here and go, oh, that's what's going to happen. Money does play a big part of it. We have talked about the budget. If you want a big budget, you do not go when they give you money. You don't go sit in the players that you spent a lot of money on. Rankin Costello won't be on cheap wages with championship experience either, and he hasn't played a heck of a lot. So there's a money element to it. It's not just about performance. And the question for Nathan Jones is, I think what he'll do is he will look for the easiest way out of it, which is wait until a mistake is made and make the change so suddenly Thomas is fit. Yeah. Or it wouldn't actually shock me as much as I think it would actually be the wrong decision. It would not shock me if he actually made that change. I think people are discounting the fact that actually, was it Eisted that got himself injured and came straight back in when he was fit? Jones will do it. He will do it. I think Ashley kept a clean sheet or let him 1 goal or something the week before. So it's really important that I think we lay out the whole situation. We don't just go, oh, it's about claiming crossover. To be as I say, Mannion was good on Tuesday night, right? He made a very good save first half. It was kind of at him, but it's a really good stop to flip that onto the bar, right? They probably should have a penalty off that, actually, mind you. But when you lay out the situation, I think it's a lot more complicated. It basically comes down to, and fans obviously can have an opinion about it as well. That's why we do this, right? But if I'm just from the manager's perspective, if he's indicated I'm going to start Thomas next season, I would imagine he will be coming in sooner rather than later. If you're not sure that that's what you're going to do, then you can play Man United and see what you have. But you have to realise that Thomas will be going in the summer if you decide to play Man United for these next nine games. That's the situation. I don't know what you guys would do. As I say, I would take the coward's way out and play Man United until the mistake is made, because I think it's just the easiest route. But I don't know where you guys stand. I'm interested to get the opinions, comments. If you've got some comments, I'm really interested to hear it. But I think it is a slightly more complicated situation. And now we'll shut up and let the panelists actually speak.
Tyler, do you want to take this
I
first?
get emotional about these things. It's goalkeeping. I love
I'll take it. I'll take it first. But yeah, it is the most complicated issue now, I think, coming in the rest of the season, and it's a conversation that's done my head in when Kaminsky was head of the team, because I'm still of the opinion that Kaminsky's been disrespected this season. I think the criticism's been too much for me. Yes, I mean, he's got mistakes in him, don't get me wrong, and he hasn't been perfect. But I think he has also pulled off some excellent saves that have kept us in games. He's got the most clean sheets in the division, as far as I'm aware. You can argue that the defence in front of him has kept the majority of them, but you can make the exact same argument, in my opinion, for Mannion's 2 clean sheets, because I think the defence in front of Mannion has been the reason for his clean sheets. Yes, Mannion's played well, but the defence has been the main reason for that. The issue is that Kaminsky and Mannion are 2 very different goalkeepers. Mannion is way more comfortable commanding his box. That 18-yard area, he knows that's his. He's going to claim for crosses. I think his kicking is better than Kaminsky's. I don't know if you agree with that. Kaminsky's a better shot stopper. So there's this kind of in between there. But I think the money is going to play a factor, and obviously Kaminsky is Jones's player. You know, he signed him, he's got confidence, and Kaminsky's obviously got way more championship experience.
He signed Mannion too, though. He did sign Mannion.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, I mean, Kaminsky was obviously Kaminsky was
an upgrade, wasn't he? Yeah,
and he's got obviously more experience in that. But that being said, Mannion doesn't exactly look out of place at this level either. And the fact he said before the Borough game that he's alluded to the idea of them 2 fighting it out to be number 1. You know, it's interesting, but I'm not arguing that Mannion's better than Kaminsky. I'm not making that argument. A lot of people said that after that performance. I'm not agreeing with that personally just yet. I agree with you that dropping Mannion for Oxford would be harsh off of 2 clean sheets, so I would keep him in. But then beyond that, it's like, right, what do we do? Do we keep Mannion in and see how he does, or do we go back in with Kaminsky purely off of, I don't know, experience? He probably would have said, right, you're my number 1. He's on 20 grand a week. That will play a factor, as you rightly said, Callum. But it's a tough one, because, like I said, I think they're 2 very different keepers. I think the defence in front of them has played a bigger part in the reason why they've kept clean sheets. But Mannion has saved us more times than Kaminsky saved us more times than Mannion has. But that's because Kaminsky's had more minutes. So I don't know. It's a tough one. But yeah, I think I'm of the agreement that Mannion should start on Saturday. But what happens after that is, for me, going to be entirely down to them too, in terms of what they can do on the training ground and who can get in the team. Because I'm not actually that fussed now from this point who is in goal or not, because I think they're both, well, Kaminsky's been playing at this level for years now. He knows what he's doing, and Mannion doesn't look out of place. And I said before the season, I'd like to see him get minutes. But yeah, I just think it's the whole Kaminsky's worse than Mannion argument for me that I can't back that. I can't back it right now.
One was a Premier League keeper. I think that's the easier thing to sort of say.
Exactly.
All but now and whatever. Also, one was a Premier League keeper, and the other was a backup at Cambridge at that time. So it's and it's only a couple of seasons ago. I think the one thing I would say, and I think I texted Paul about this earlier, which was I think they're both pretty consummate professionals. I don't think they cause a fuss. I think they like each other. I think you can tell at the end of games they like each other. They give each other a big embrace. You see in training videos, they're joking around. I think you sit them down and you have the conversation. And I think sometimes you have to have an uncomfortable conversation with your work colleagues. If you're Nathan Jones, at some point, you got to treat Mannion like a man and say, look, so it might be harsh. As I say, I think ultimately what will happen is it will change before the end of the season. I'm sure a mistake will be made and everyone will be braying for blood. But I can't see it in terms of the finances. To me, don't make any sense for him to change it for the whole rest of the season. Sorry, Richard. We're not trying to, but I do think it takes a factor. Paul, just really quickly, what you think on that, and then I'm just going to get your quick score predictions for Oxford.
Yeah, well, first I was just going to say the fact that we're arguing about who's the better keeper, not who's the worst keeper or whatever. Shows how far we've come. I think Kaminsky's he's Nathan's number 1. Clearly, he respects him greatly. Yes, as you say, people will hear as well, but he's the number 1. To go back to what you said about the owners, if we had an American owner called Todd Bowley or John Textor or David Tepper, I would say, yeah, obviously they'll say, they'd be banging on Nathan's door saying, why is not my 25 grand a week keeper not playing, So I think these owners, they respect Nathan. They've obviously backed him budget wise, and they'll leave the final decision to him. But you're right, obviously, at the end of the day, if they're, if DK wasn't playing, and that is the guy that's playing instead of him in sort of a fifth as much money as he is, and it's difficult. I mean, I think Borough had 34 attempts. I think Will would have stopped about 2 of them. So as I say, one of which was I think was quite a smart save to be onto the crossbar. But as I say, so he was helped, and as Tyler rightly said, it's the same argument as we had for Kaminski. Who's responsible for the clean sheets? Is it the defenders or the keepers? In terms of who plays, I mean, I think Will deserves to sort of carry on. I think you could sell it to Thomas that Kaminski that obviously he's been injured. We need to sort of give him maybe another week. You can see that Will's acquitted himself well for those 2 games, but as I say, I think TK needs to go in, for those remaining sort of 7 or 8 games or whatever it is. So. And then we'll see what happens next season. As I said to you, it may be that Will get some interest. Maybe he sparked a bit of interest with these sort of couple of games and the Chelsea game where he actually played well despite the scoreline. So that might take the argument completely out of the club's hands. But I think in the meantime, as far as I'm concerned, Kaminski is the number one. He is the better keeper. He's got far more experience. Will is a very good backup, and indeed, I would say he's probably a top, maybe League One keeper. But for me, Kaminski is number one. He has his faults, but I think even those he's been addressing. So but as for tomorrow, yes, certainly I'd say that Will deserves to carry on.
Yeah, what I'll do is I'll extend this slightly to like 1 hour 5, so we got 10 minutes just to chat Oxford, because I think it's a very important game, and I think if you win this, let's all crack open the pina coladas, boys, on the train home. That's Oxford have won back to back. Suddenly got into form. Our old friend Jamie Donnelly from Orient, who we shut down twice, is 3 times. Is
quality player. Quality player.
It's a great player. They've got Will Lancashire at Spurs. I mean, Spurs could really use him right now. Tottenham away. Sorry.
Did you see the Bradford City chant? That was funny. Port Vale. Yeah, it was. We've got Tottenham, you've got York or something. Yeah, whatever it was. Yeah, it's funny. We've got Tottenham, you've got York, we've got to be, whatever. Yeah, something like that.
I've loved those chants, by the way. I really hope. I mean, I do love Tottenham. I hope they stay up, but God, it'd be so funny seeing them in the Championship next season. Oh
my God! Could you imagine the endless banter they would receive as everybody piles into that away and just taking the mickey?
They're playing Lincoln in a competitive fixture.
Mate, luckily for them, Stephen had just fallen off because that would have been a complete disaster. Our academy team playing with the players at the left. Right, but talking, we'll go back to Oxford. Sorry, we just have to have a couple of minutes there just to take the mickey out, I suppose. Sorry, Larry. But basically, you look at Oxford. Oxford are in good form. We never win at the car park. I hope everybody's looking forward to their fight in the bowling alley beforehand. I still don't understand how that's not a health and safety issue with people down in pints before playing bowling, but it's a whole different thing. We don't win there. My hope is, and I look at it and I remember there's a week when we got was it the Ipswich week we got 6 points. We got a 9-point week, and I think was it Hull we went up to and got a point.
Yeah.
I would very, very. I would actually not, bizarrely looking at the 2 games we've just played, I wouldn't mind a point here considering the history. You get a 7-point week here. You get something against Norwich. You beat. You got Sheffield Wednesday later on in the season, which is better. You get out of jail free card. But I just. I don't like playing Oxford. I don't like the bus ride. I don't like the stadium. They don't like the stadium. I don't like the car park. I don't like the bowling alley. It's one of those where I'd like to win there just because I can. But they've got something to worry about. They've got a good goalkeeper. Oh God, I think Emma's in his end car park end. What a stadium! that and the bird crap on the seats in the away end. But yeah, it's not an away day you look forward to, which is sad considering Oxford is a lovely place to go. But yeah, what are you guys thinking? Again, changes. I think we've all said we would keep Will in for Saturday. I think the back three will change. The wing back should stay the same, I would hope.
Yeah.
I think he probably goes Dykes over Lieber, and it's just a question of will he fully rotate that front two. I think he likes Dykes and TC, so it wouldn't surprise me if he goes to that. But I do not think TC earned that by any stretch on the weekend. Midfield probably stays the same, although you could, if Doc is really tired, you could bring JRC in. I think in a game like this might suit him. I think didn't he play well in the home game against them? But yeah, what do you guys think? Any sort of lineup changes, and then your prediction? I'm gonna go with as I always do, my classic Nathan Jones 1-0. Just for a laugh, give me my Tyrese Campbell goal just so I can wear the scarf and annoy him the next time we're on.
Yeah, I think I mostly agree with that. To be fair, I think in terms of changes, Mannion you're keeping in. I think the back three you're going back to Bell, Jones, and Ramsey, aren't you? Then I mean, and I know Gillespie, Coady, and Goff played really well, but yeah, you're going with the original three. I think wing back stayed the same, midfield stayed the same. If Doc is absolutely shattered, then yeah, I'd like to see Rankin Costello come in. I hope to God to not see Berry, but knowing Jones, that wouldn't surprise me if Berry comes
injured,
in.
I think. Anyway.
He's injured. I'll thank the Lord. There we go. Yeah, JRC. And then front two, I'd like Dykes and Kelman, but realistically, it'll probably be Dykes and TC. I think TC would be better off the bench, but I don't know. We'll have to wait and see what he does.
I think it sort of makes sense with the 3 games, doesn't it? To give an hour, and then an hour. I think it sort of makes sense to switch it, and also you can get kind of in behind Oxford. So I think that'll be his thought. Yeah. Whether I agree with it or not is a very different. As I say, I don't think TC earned it, but I can understand the tactical reasons why he would do it.
Yeah, it's one of them, isn't it? But yeah, it's a tough game Saturday. I mean, Oxford are suddenly flying. They're playing really well at the minute. I'm not going, thankfully, because it is one of my least favourite away games ever. I hate Oxford away with a passion. I've been twice. We've lost both times. The station is nowhere near the stadium. There's no pubs in the vicinity besides the bowling alley. It's got 3 stands. There's a car park there. It's one of the worst away days I've ever done.
Thanks for reminding me that's why that's what I'm getting up early to go to tomorrow. I really appreciate it.
Oh, yeah, they go and stick it at 12 to rub salt in the wounds. There you go.
God,
But yeah, and the worst part is we don't win there either, which is the worst part. You know, they are a bit of a bogey side. The Cassam's a bit of a bogey ground for us. But
we did beat them at home though, so
yeah,
Nathan Jones loves ending a hoodie. He loves ending a hoodie.
He does. It's going to be tough. I'm not going to beat around the bush. It's going to be tough. Oxford are flying. They're going to want to get out of it. I'm in agreement with you. Take the point and run. To be fair, I'm going to go 1-0. I think it'd be scrappy. It'd be cagey. And to be honest, I think if results go our way, I think we'll take the point and be happy with that. To be fair, so yeah, I'll go 1-0.
Paul,
yeah, Bloomfield. I was working them up. Yeah, my sister-in-law's chosen to have her 60th birthday meal, 12:45 kickoff tomorrow. So I won't. Not only will I not be there, I won't see it live at all.
You've got an actual excuse as well. Oh.
Well, I kind of have, but so I won't. I'll have to catch up on the replay work. I won't be able to see anything. I'll get told off even for trying to get a score, catch the score. So I'll get withering looks from Mrs. D. But there we are. Family comes first and all that they say. Whatever, believe that for you. Whatever. But no. So I'm lineup wise, I'd love to see Charlie start actually, but as you say, I'm sure Nathan's going to revert to type for the tactical reasons that you both mentioned. In terms of a result, I'll be happy with any sort of a draw because, of course, it means they can't gain on us because they have been actually. Bloomfield has gotten playing really, really well, and the good players that we know they've got, Brannigan, obviously, and the other Hellick and what have you. Sorry, you can tell I've been sussed completely, but no, I mean Lancashire. You mentioned obviously Donnelly, Mills, whatever. All of them, they've got some really, really good players. And Brown, absolutely Brown, of course, defender. And he's actually, so he's gotten playing really well.
You want to replace Mac?
Yeah, absolutely.
If they go down, hello.
Yeah, well, we've talked about that, haven't we, before? Maybe nabbing him, picking over the carcass of, the rotting Oxford Cogs if they do go down. So yeah, I'll be happy with any sort of a draw. I'll carry on and say 1-0. Hopefully, maybe Dykes to score another one. But yeah, any sort of a point we can get. We're certainly not taking any sort of win for pride. Not just because of the history, but the way, as I say, that Oxford have been playing the last few weeks. Yeah, 1-0 would do me.
All right. Well, thank you all for joining us on a Friday night. It's a big commitment. Thank you to Tyler and Paul for taking the time to be here on a Friday evening. I'm going to go and watch Death in Paradise before I have to get up super early for tomorrow morning to get to the car park. I will raise a pint to all of you, Charlton Chronicles listeners, inside the bowling alley tomorrow. But have a good rest of your evenings. And remember, Tottenham away next season.
We will absolutely be there.
Cheers all.
Take
Good
care,
night,
guys.
everyone.
See ya.
Love you, Alex.